What have we learned about the Dallas Mavericks in their first 25 games of the season? Plus, are you Team Tank or Team Keep It Together? We'll answer that. We'll answer that question next. The DLLS Mavs podcast. Welcome to the DLLS Mavs podcast presented by Game Time and Michelob Ultra. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. And Michelob Ultra, official beer sponsor of the NBA. Kevin Gray, alongside our DLLS Mavs beat writer Ron Harrod Jr. and our DLLS Mavs analyst Bobby Krella. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys, covering your favorite team, especially when they've won 4 out of 5 games. What should the Mavericks do? Should they be Team Tank or Team Keep It Together? Plus, what have we learned in the first 25 games when it comes to your Mavericks? We'll answer all those questions and more today here on our show. Thank you for joining us here on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe while you're here as well. And you can become a diehard by visiting alldls.com/diehard. Ron Harrod Jr., how we doing on this magnificent Monday?
Ooh, magnificent.
That's right.
I'm a little congested.
Uh-oh.
But I'm always ready to talk Mavs, KG.
Let's go. Playing through injury, playing through a little bug. That's what we like here. What's up, Corral? How we feeling?
I'm being stitched together by caffeine and severe sinus pills that I'm taking responsibly, mind you. I really do feel like this is a good metaphor for the season. So you know how like the first night that you're kind of struggling to breathe through your nose and reality is setting in. It's really hard to sleep. And you're kind of rolling around, tossing and turning, and you're like, has it been 10 minutes or 5 hours? I don't know. That has been a really good, I think, microcosm and metaphor for the season so far. They've only played 25 games. It feels like they've played about 150 games.
Yes,
that's right.
It does.
And all of them at home, it feels
like. And it's still 2025.
That's still 2025. We still have not hit Christmas yet.
Hashtag this league.
Shout out to our guy, Mark Stein. He'll be back with us later on this week. Let's jump into it today because we got a lot to get to.
We got a live audience today, by the way.
We do have a live audience. Shout out to the greatest beat writer in the history of the Dallas Cowboys, Clarence E. Hill Jr., of course.
Should they tank or not? Never on Team Tank, says Clarence.
Clarence gets very upset if you even bring up the draft in the season. So we would not do that on this show.
I mean, depending on what happens on Sunday night, we might be talking about Cowboys draft here next Monday. But anyway, what are 3 things that we've learned about the Dallas Mavericks so far this season? Let us know in the chat, and we'll discuss them here as well. I'll start with our resident analyst, Bobby Krella. What's one thing that you've learned about the Mavericks in the first 25 games so far?
Well, for reasons of my own, I was hoping you'd start with Ron on this one. Something I've learned, I mean, a lot of our reasons for feeling caution have been confirmed. So I wouldn't say that we've learned that. I think the thing that I've learned, though, is that there is honest to God value in just playing really, really freaking hard. You know, I think the Mavs for a very long time, and this goes back to before Luka. This is the Dirk era. This goes back 25 years. You know, for many of our Mavs viewing experiences, they were just so skilled. They had so many skilled players, and they did have some good defenders. You know, the team that won the title was very tough. You know, very hard nosed. But for the most part, this team has gotten by with a lot of skill, a lot of shooting, a lot of offense, a lot of pace, entertaining basketball to watch. That also leads to a lot of wins in the regular season. This season's team, and this really goes back to last season, but last season they were playing 8 guys. Kessler Edwards was their starting center for like 30 games in a row, and so no one had any expectation they were going to win. But this team, especially these last couple weeks, has been winning games with a little bit of skill and with a little bit of offensive pizzazz. Ryan Nembhard has changed things for sure, but this team is just really winning because it's just bashing its head into a wall over and over again, and eventually the wall is breaking. And that's something that's different. It's something that's new for Mavs fans, something that's new for me to watch this team do. It's never really been the franchise's ethos, but it's been working lately, and that in and of itself is something that's really fun to watch in its own way. And I don't know if they can do it for 82 games, but they've done it for 25, and it's been at times really frustrating, but at times it's been really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it multiple times on this show. People probably think I'm capping for the guy, but I think Jason Kidd has just done a great job this season. The team has not quit on him. Like, even in the lowest vibe moments, Bobby, they have always at least played hard for Jason Kidd. Now, maybe the shots were hitting the side of the rim early in the season, as we all witnessed.
Or not the rim at all.
Or not the rim at all. But the effort was always high. So, I mean, again, Jason Kidd, I think he's just done a good job this season. But one thing I've learned, Kevin Gray, I just, as a neutral party coming to the beat, I thought really highly of Derek Lively, and I thought really highly of Daniel Gafford. I think that I came in and I overrated Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively because I thought that they were centers that really kind of shifted the paradigm, and I realized they're very reliant on other players. Is in if you have, one of the best, if not the best playmaker in the NBA, they can look really, really good as play finishers because their role is very minuscule on a major player scale. But when other players go down and they have to do things that aren't rebound, dunk, it can get very ugly and very hard because they don't have the other parts to kind of make them look a little bit better than maybe they quote unquote are. We saw a similar thing with a player like DeAndre Jordan, who got a max contract playing with Chris Paul. Without Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan's career has been shrug emoji. So it just, you need that guy to boost a Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. So I think I just overrated them a little bit coming into the year.
I want to debate a little bit. I want to embrace debate just a little bit. All right. You're an idiot. Just kidding. I think in 23-24, Lively and Gafford were so clearly, they were extensions of Luka and Kyrie's brilliance as playmakers, right? Like you could not tilt the floor toward Luka or Kyrie because they would just beat the guy off the dribble and then find a guy in the paint, and it would just be, it was a dunk fest. I do think that Lively has the skill to not be that kind of. Lively can create his own shot. I think you can dump it in the post. He's got touch with both hands. He's really developed a hook shot. He can pass. He can read the floor. He can do some things. I think the great shame of this season so far, more than anything, more than Kyrie's injury, more than AD's injuries, more than any other situation, the biggest shame of this season is that Lively still can't play, because I think that maybe he could have taken a leap or maybe not. But regardless, you would know. You would know if he can be more than just an extension, or you would know if he is. And that's not to diminish their traits as players. Like, being able to play with a great playmaker is a skill. There are a lot of centers that played with Luka and Kyrie that did not do what Gafford and Lively have done. But the Mavs don't know. Now they're going to head into a summer where they got to give him an extension, and you're not going to know how good he is. And I think that is a real problem.
Not just how good he is, and whether or not he could be a long-term part of your future with his health, unfortunately.
They might save some money, though. Depends what you think.
Maybe.
In some ways, you can. We've seen players, I'm not going to say Steph Curry, but Steph Curry was hurt early in his career. The Warriors saved so much money, they ended up building a dynasty. I'm not saying that the Mavs are going to build a dynasty. I'm not saying Derek Lively, Steph Curry. But when a player is injured and you, as the front office, do believe in the long-term outlook, you can essentially get a player for like 50% of their value. So I don't know, I can't report on what the Mavs front office thinks of Derek Lively long-term right now, but they might be able to get him for a discount this summer if they believe he's a part of the future.
I'll say the biggest thing that I've learned so far through the first 25 games, and it's just kind of a reaffirmation of what this league is that the margin for error is razor thin in this league. The Mavericks have been in the most clutch games in the NBA this season. They have been competitive in a lot of these games, but their inability, especially at the beginning of the season, to execute on the offensive end has really put this team in a hole. Now, they've been much better as of late with actual good point guard play with Ryan Nembhard being on the floor, and you're seeing the offensive output increase dramatically with him running the show. And obviously the development of Cooper Flagg has been one of the biggest, if not the biggest storyline for this team the first 25 games. But it just goes to show you when you are able to execute down the stretch and you have the ability to have playmakers to execute in the biggest moments of games. I mean, right now, your best closer is the 18-year-old rookie, and the Mavericks have decided that in big moments, he's going to be the one to go get it, and that's great for Cooper Flagg's development because he's going to continue to get better and better in these situations. Early on in the year, you were not able to win some of the close games that you had and really lost games that you weren't supposed to lose. I'm looking at you when you lose to the New Orleans Pelicans, for example. Like, there are just games that they have decided, or they had lost games that have decided what this first 25 game outlook looks like. And it's going to continue to be very hard to dig out of that hole. But yeah, it's just a reaffirmation of, man, not only is it a make or miss league, but the margin of error is so thin that you can be a team that's 4 or 5 games above 500, or in this case, a team that's several games below 500, 9 and 16th of your first 25 games, and what that could look like for the outlook for the rest of your season.
Can I give you an example of that?
Sure.
So we've talked, or I've brought up the 2017-18 Mavs before, okay, a lot. That team won 24 games. They were 24-58. Finished with tied for the third worst record in the league. Ended up getting absolutely screwed on lottery night. Had to trade an unprotected first to get Luka. Obviously, it ended up working out. But that season's Mavs team, 24-58 record, they were 12-38 in the clutch. They played 50 clutch games, which was tied for the second most in the NBA. But they had the lowest win percentage in the clutch. Some of that was tactical, okay, especially at the end of the year. Go back and watch some of those lineups.
Right.
But go back 10 years before that, the 06-07 Mavs, they finished with, at the time, one of the best records of all time. Few teams have beaten it since, but they won 67 games. Their record in the clutch that year was 32-6.
Wow.
They won 84% of their clutch games. Second best clutch win percentage in the league that year was Phoenix at 62%. The Mavs were so much better at closing games than every other team, and that's because they had this guy named Dirk.
Yeah.
The 17-18 Mavs also had Dirk, but he was 12 years older, and he wasn't even playing in the clutch down the stretch in a lot of those games. They were trying to play through Harrison Barnes, Wesley Matthews, guys that weren't quite to that level, and it certainly cost them a lot of games. Like, now, there are a lot more differences between the 06-07 Mavs and the 17-18 Mavs than just being able to make a couple shots down the stretch. They were much better throughout entire stretches of games, but if more than half of your games are going to come down to the last 5 minutes, then you need to have a guy that can close the door. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to overcome all of the mistakes that you might have made earlier in the game just by heating up in the final few minutes.
I mean, just think about if this team had Anthony Davis for half of those 14 games that he would have missed. Like,
yeah,
the example I'll use is that last year, of course, he made the game winner against the Atlanta Hawks after getting crushed in the eye by some friendly fire from his teammate Daniel Gafford, but he was still in there to be able to make a game-winning shot. If you have a guy like Anthony Davis who is able to make those types of plays in the biggest moments, you may be 3-4 games above 500 versus being 7 games below 500. Again, not just the margin of error being thin, but health being a major factor in what this looks like for a team and what their first 25 games looks like. And unfortunately, that's been a big story once again for this Mavericks team, is that health has derailed them in a number of ways. So you combine that with the inability to win in the clutch. Yeah, that's how you get to 16 losses out of your first 25 games.
Yeah, would you like to know my second thing that I've learned?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, everybody. It's here. We've spammed the celebration a couple times this year.
Oh,
but I have to bring it up again. D'Angelo Russell is no longer an NBA starter, everybody. I didn't come in thinking that the expectations were extremely high for D'Lo, but I wanted to show early, said, you know what, if the Mavs have a good season, it's probably going to be because D'Lo gets back to like 18 points per game, about 40% from three. And these are the stats right now. Me and Bob were talking about this pre-show. He's only started 3 games this year. Played 21 games for everybody. He's averaging 11 points. He's only shooting 70% from the free throw line, a career low. He's only shooting 28% from three, a career low. He's shooting 40% from the field, which sadly isn't a career low, but overall just not good. I thought that the Mavs need the playmaking and the floor spacing, the shooting from D'Angelo Russell, and they just haven't gotten it this year. When he's on, he's such a fun player. Again, we're spamming celebration and everyone's laughing, but then there's moments even on the defensive end where we see Mike Brown, the New York Knicks coach, saying, hey, go at D'Angelo Russell. So the defense has been poor. While you can't shoot, he's almost unplayable at this point. I just don't think he's ever going to be an NBA starter. And sadly, the man's not even 30 years old yet, everybody.
I mean, a two-way guy is taking his job, and a former two-way guy is getting more playing time than he is.
Chain
right now.
snatched.
Yeah. I mean, but that's give credit to Ryan Nembhard and Brandon Williams for outplaying and making it very difficult for D'Angelo Russell to see the floor. I mean, Ryan Nembhard has been an absolute revelation. Any person you talk to in the organization has said, look, we had our eye on Ryan Nembhard for a long time. And he has made them look very, very good with his play and the way the offense is looking.
I mean, his teammates are just openly saying, I like playing with him. He actually passes the ball.
Yeah.
Like
that
Anthony
is
Davis
like
he's not so
smiling talking
thinly
about
veiled
him.
shots
Yes.
and D'Lo, not just D'Lo, also Brandon Williams too, frankly.
I mean,
and Najee and any of the other playmakers.
He's commanded the respect of Anthony Davis very quickly.
Oh, and he likes playing with him. It's very clear. He doesn't like Anthony Davis is not going to say, I like playing with him more than everybody else.
If I'm a star and you pass me the ball, you're my favorite.
Give me, I want to play with you.
Exactly.
Again, a perfect example, as I keep bringing it up, is look at the way Jaren Jackson Jr. used to talk about Tyus Jones. John Moran can pass the ball, sure. But when Tyus Jones was in the game, his goal was not to score. It was to get Jaren Jackson Jr. the ball.
That's right.
So the way he would talk about Tyus Jones was always very glowingly, and it was very obvious early on.
Let's take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, let's get into some Mavs superlatives to the first 25 games of the season and look forward. Who's got the most to gain, the most to prove, or the most to lose? We're less than 2 months away from the NBA trade deadline. All that and more coming up next. If you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you want to show it off to your friends and family. And Branded Brill's premium headwear and apparel wants to help you do that. Whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. If you're looking for some gear to help your brand stand apart from a crowd, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear and apparel today. And you can start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom headwear and apparel that you need. In fact, we've got a partnership with 40-plus colleges as well, including Texas, TCU, and the Big 12 champion Texas Tech Red Raiders. So if you want to celebrate with the Red Raiders with your Branded Bills premium headwear and apparel collection, you can do so today. So make sure you head to brandedbills.com and use code BBDLLS for 15% off your first order. Again, that's brandedbills.com. Use code BBDLLS for 15% off your first order for Branded Bills premium headwear and apparel today.
The schedule is out. We know where everyone is playing in the World Cup, and there are a lot of really good teams playing right here in DFW. If you want to go see Argentina, you want to go see England, Croatia, hey, those tickets are going to be hard to get, and they're going to cost you, but not if you use Game Time. On the Game Time app, you are guaranteed to get the fairest deal, the best prices, or they will refund 110% of that difference right to you. You also get a panoramic view from your seat, so you know exactly what to expect before you fork over your hard-earned cash for that seat. And with their all-in pricing, you know exactly what it's going to cost before you get to the checkout screen. There's no hidden fees, there's no surprises or convenience charges that are going to really grind your gears at the checkout screen. So take the guesswork out of buying. Download the Game Time app today. Use promo code DLLS whenever you make your first purchase, and it'll save you $20 off that purchase. Again, promo code DLLS to save yourself $20. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Gentlemen, what time is it?
Game time.
Hoof, hoof.
I just love barking. What can I say?
You do.
Roof, roof.
You do.
Arf, arf.
Welcome back into the DLLS Mavs podcast. Appreciate you joining us here on our program today. Coming up here in about 10 minutes. Are you team tank or are you team keep it together? We will get into that conversation coming up here in our next segment. And later on, we'll go around the association, look at some of the biggest storylines and surprises and disappointments of the first quarter of the season. But the Mavericks, who are back on the practice floor today, got a few days off thanks to the NBA Cup schedule. In fact, the Mavericks won't play their next game until Friday. That's right, Tanner. They won't play until Friday when they take on the Brooklyn Nets and Michael Porter Jr., who's been playing very well as of late for Brooklyn. But, yeah, the Mavericks got a few days off. They are practicing today. We will see what comes out of that later on this afternoon. But let's get into here some Mavericks superlatives. Who's got the most to gain, the most to lose, the most to prove with less than 2 months before the NBA trade deadline? A team that's 7 games under 500, 9-16 on the year, are a half game out of the 10 seed Portland when it comes to the play-in situation. But at the same time, they have won 4 out of their last 5 and playing much better basketball as of late. So, Ron, I'll start with you on this one. Who has the most to gain over the next less than 2 months before the NBA trade deadline for your Dallas Mavericks?
I think the player that has the most to gain for Dallas Mavericks is Anthony Davis. I mean, Anthony Davis is a player that when he left New Orleans, it was ugly. Every time he goes back there, it's still boos. They still dislike him in the city of New Orleans. He goes to Los Angeles. They traded a crap ton for him. He wins a championship, but he's next to one of the greatest players of all time in LeBron James. So he still kind of doesn't have his own team where he's won yet. So then he gets traded to the Dallas Mavericks and, one of the most polarizing trades in NBA history. But he is the guy on the team. He becomes the number 1 guy again easily. So he comes to this team, but he's been hurt. He hasn't been able to kind of show his value, show that he is that top 15, top 10 possible type player. So if he can come to Dallas and if he can prove that he's a top 10 player, I think it actually could change some of the narrative on the back end of his career because he's already has a ring. He already has all the All-NBAs, all the All-Stars. He just needs to prove that, hey, as a number 1 option, this is what I can do. And if he does that, either maybe he does that for the Dallas Mavericks or that might even be for another team that wants him to be their number 1.
Yeah, I think if he plays well, he could land another extension, and that's
a lot of money.
Good God.
You want to pay that?
No, I don't know. No. First of all, I don't want to pay anyone anything. All right. I think Nembhard has
Would
the
you
most,
like your team to pay that extension?
Personally, no. Okay. But if I was a fan of another team, I would love for my team to pay him. Ryan Nembhard, I think, has the most to gain because, for him, I think even if if he just gets monstered and plays like absolute garbaggio the rest of the season, he's still going to get an NBA contract just because of what he's already done. But if he continues playing starting caliber or close to starting caliber basketball, he's not locked in on a 4-year rookie deal. He could sign for a lot of money this summer.
That's right.
So I think he's got a ton to gain. Whether it's from the Mavs preemptively, like they're able to move some money around and make some money disappear and then give him a contract right now, as soon as tomorrow, or if it's from another team in July. I think he's got, AD's future in the league is not really in question. I think AD can stand to gain about $200 million more. That's a lot. Ryan Nembhard, though, his future can be pretty secure relative to what it is right now, if he keeps playing well.
I'll go with Klay Thompson, actually, on this one. Klay,
that was my number 2.
That was your number 2?
Yeah.
He was on one of mine.
Klay has been shooting the ball much better as of late. Shooting over 40% from the 3-point line here over the last maybe 10 or so games. Has really embraced his bench role for this team and provided a spark for them offensively. And if you're into the idea that anyone with potential trade value can increase that over the next couple of months, Klay Thompson would be a prime candidate given the fact that he's making $17 million right now in the second year of that three-year deal that he signed here, last summer. And he could be someone that a team could look at and say, hey, we need some additional shooting on our team to maybe help us put us over the top a little bit. Klay Thompson has a chance to continue to play well and give himself a chance to go somewhere to help out another team if you're into that idea. But otherwise, Klay has been playing much better after what was a very, very slow start for him. Would you say, Kevin, in a lot of ways, that's kind of Klay Thompson's MO, gets off to slow starts and usually starts to pick it up. This one in particular was abysmal, so much so that he was out of the starting lineup by the time, we blinked after maybe 10, 12 games. So Klay Thompson, I think, continues to have a lot to gain because he does have some potential trade value by the time we get to the trade deadline in early February. Bobby, I'll go to you on this one next then. So over the next couple of months, less than 2 months away from the NBA trade deadline, who has the most to lose for these Dallas Mavericks going forward here?
Well, I would love to give it a tie, but there's no ties. All right, this is America. We got winners and we got losers. And the number 1 player with the most to lose, D'Angelo Russell. For the same reason that Ryan Nembhard's future can be secured, by continuing to play well or even continuing to play just sort of fine, D'Lo's future is, I think, in real question. He has a player option for next year at $5 million, but
which you'll smash the go button
right
for.
now. He's playing like vet minimum caliber basketball, if that, and so beyond this season and beyond next season, I don't know, dude. I don't know what happens with him. I don't know what kind of team would want to take a flyer on him. So I think he's got a lot to play for, which means he also has a lot to gain.
Sure.
And I think he does. He has a jumbo contract to gain if he can turn it around. But if he doesn't, then it's minimums for him for a long time, I think.
I have to second that on the D'Lo point of view. He came here. He thought like, hey, I go to Dallas. I have a really good season. I get to cash in my age 30 season right before the athleticism really takes the fall. Now it's like Bobby said, he's basically a veteran minimum player. He's coming with a player option, and he's basically going to have to accept it. He probably didn't want to. That was really like if everything goes bad, I still have this. Everything has gone bad, so he's going to accept that. He probably thought he can get $20 million in the open market. I would have assumed. So that's kind of what that low-tier starter point guard can get. He's getting 3 now. I mean, it's been a real big change. So he just has lost a lot. And if it keeps going on the train right now where he's not even shooting the ball wide open well, hopefully an NBA contract is even in the future 2 years from now, but it's not looking likely.
I'm going to go Anthony Davis on this one as the one with the most to lose. I mean, we saw already he's missed 14 straight games with that left calf strain. Obviously, since he's come back and playing at the 5, the defense has been good. It continues to be good. But also offensively, things have looked much better as well. You saw what he was able to do bouncing back from that 2-point performance against the Oklahoma City Thunder with a 32-point game in the game right after, showing what type of player that he's capable of being. So if you're Anthony Davis, you have a lot to lose because not only with the money that Bobby has mentioned in terms of potentially getting a new contract, there are teams that are looking at you to see if you could be a piece that helps them get over the top, given the direction that the Mavericks be willing to go in and building around the 18-year-old and finding what they can because of the draft situation they find themselves in. So Anthony Davis has a lot to lose over the next couple of months because trade value for him could possibly go down if he does find himself, unfortunately, getting injured once again. So that gets us to the last one. We've talked about who has the most to gain, the most to lose. Who's got the most to prove in the next less than 2 months here?
You go first.
I feel like I'm reaching a little bit with this one, so I'll kind of cope with with that one. But I have Klay Thompson down here. Klay Thompson was a player that if you were in a barbershop, you're arguing who are the greatest shooters of all time. You'd have Steph Curry, who's everybody's go at shooting. And then he's like, oh, is it Ray Allen? Is it Dame Lillard? Is it Klay Thompson? Well, right now, Klay Thompson's numbers without Curry on the floor were always kind of like, well, that's not as good as you would think it is. He's a really good player, but they actually drop a lot with Curry off the floor. But you know what? Maybe that's just a coincidence, right? Maybe that's a coincidence. So he comes to Dallas, later in his career, sure, he's had injuries, and the numbers just haven't been what his career averages are. So it's like, it almost comes to the point where he's kind of almost out of the second best shooter of all time kind of conversations. I think he has to at least get 2 more seasons kind of high quality shooting to get that. I don't think he's going to get back to the Ray Allen conversation. I don't even think, to be honest, he's in the Damian Lillard conversation right now. It's a lot of players that I thought he was kind of being compared by. Some people be like lit take to have. I guess would have been like, you know what? I like Klay shooting better than Steph Curry because I like his form. Well, that's out the question because Steph Curry is still shooting the ball really well, everybody. While Klay Thompson is shooting better as of late, but the season averages still aren't near the top. I think he has a lot to prove just because I think for his all-time ranking, it can really be shifted by this late part of his career.
Anthony Davis.
That's it.
I love when Bobby does this like head nod. It's like taking. It's like
that's Yes. Well, I mean, like,
just saying his name. Well, you got to get the idea. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Anthony Davis.
You know, we've said Anthony Davis for most of the game. We've said Anthony Davis for most to lose. It's like, okay, that means that there's a lot to prove.
There's a lot to prove.
I mean,
for the reasons already mentioned,
that's right.
Anthony Davis is my most approved guy.
Yeah. Also, just to go with Bobby's point, to give it that a little more juice. Same thing I said about Klay Thompson. Anthony Davis was one of the players that say, hey, can he be a top 4 power forward of all time? That was a real question. It might sound crazy to everybody now because the power forward is one of the most deep positions in NBA history. But that was a real question, is can Anthony Davis get onto that pantheon of power forwards? Right now, the answer is no. He's top 75 of all time. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. But if he has another late surge in his career, it's going to get real uncomfortable with the Karl Malones of the world in that top 4. It's going to get
already
real uncomfortable.
With
The Barclays, it's going to get real uncomfortable.
Karl Malone already makes me and a lot of other people deeply uncomfortable.
We have to go down that path.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
But you get the point.
Yeah, nothing. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't.
If you know.
Yeah, I don't mention number 32 who used to play for the Jazz. We don't talk about
number 32.
Yeah. I'll say real quick. I'll go with Ryan Nembhard with the most approved. A lot of for the reasons that we stated earlier. He's got a chance to earn himself a lot of cash, but also more importantly for me, to prove what the last 4 or 5 games are not a fluke. I don't believe that they are. I think there's still some folks who may think this is a nice story. It's a cute story. He's playing well. The question for them would be, is this a fluke? And can Ryan Nembhard continue to prove it on a consistent basis night over night over the next couple months? So,
longtime viewers of the pod knows this ain't no fluke.
For us,
all right? This ain't no fluke.
Yeah, we've been knowing that Ryan Nembhard can ball. I think from a national perspective, there's still questions on whether or not he can continue to do so. Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, all right, we're going to dive into the question. Are you team tank or are you team keep it together? We will discuss that question and more coming up next.
With over 700 5-star reviews and an average rating of 4.9, Koala's Roofing is one of the most trusted names in roofing across North Texas and Austin. Homeowners and business owners alike consistently praise Koala's for their honesty, follow-through, and quality workmanship. Whether it's your home or your business, Koala's Roofing has you covered. Literally. They specialize in both residential and commercial roofing projects. Based right here in North Texas, Koala's isn't some storm-chasing fly-by-the-night crew. They're local, experienced, and committed to doing things the right way. If your home was hit by recent storms, don't wait. Koala's free storm damage assessments can help you guide through your insurance policy. Mention DLLS when you call in. It truly helps our show. Call or go online to schedule your free roof inspection, and don't forget to ask about your free grill. Visit koalasgc.com or just search Koala's Roofing and Construction. That's QUALIS, or call 817-500-9008 and get started today.
I was out at the Plano location of Wild Fork Foods Meat and Seafood Market last weekend, and next weekend, Kevin and I, and maybe even producer Tanner, maybe Mark Stein, we're going to be at the Louisville location at Josie and Windhaven. So it's kind of Louisville, kind of Plano, kind of Carrollton, like right on the borderline where they all meet. Louisville's my hometown, so I got to go represent, all right, for the farmers. So I'll be out there. Come hang out with us. Enjoy some free samples. They bring a pitmaster out there. This past weekend, it was a prime ribeye roast. It was unbelievably good. And they also were doing some duck breast, and that was fantastic. I picked some up in the store myself. Wild Fork, everything is blast frozen. You're going to be the first person to thaw it. It is unbelievably fair and reasonable pricing. They're always updating their prices every single week to make sure that they're competing and even beating everyone else in the whole market. So for more information, check them out at their 9 area locations in DFW, or just go to wildforkfoods.com. Again, wildforkfoods.com.
Are you team tank or are you team keep it together? We will discuss that here on the DLLS Mavs podcast, as the Mavericks, of course, 9-16 after their first 25 games, are going to have a decision to make maybe not too long from now with where this team needs to go from a direction standpoint, and if they are going to go down the road of building around now the 18-year-old or try to keep it together to maybe wait until Kyrie Irving comes back to try to make a run in the postseason if they're able to get there via the play-in, most likely. Bobby, I'll start with you on this one. Are you team tank or not to tank?
I don't want to sidestep the question. I promise my answer is not sidestepping the question, but it's going to feel that way. you don't have to make that decision right now. Oftentimes you can see it coming. Like, there are already teams in the league, are just they stink. Like, no offense, Ron, the Wizards.
Pretty bad.
Wizards aren't very good. They don't have to make up their mind to tank. Like, that decision has already been made. The Mavs, though, I mean, like you said, Kyrie could come back. AD could stay healthy. Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, we don't know when they're coming back. It could be soon. So the best case scenario is that the Mavs get healthy soon and are able to compete for a playoff spot, in which case tanking would make no sense. But if AD gets hurt again, if Kyrie, his rehab takes longer than expected, if Lively and Gafford are out for a really long time, they also might not have to make the decision. It could just be made for them. I don't think that they need to, as we saw last year, lose 60 games to get the number 1 pick. Last year, the Mavs finished, I believe, with the best record in the NBA of any team in the lottery. Or
39-43.
Yeah, and they still won. So, the landscape has changed with the flattening of the odds and all of that stuff. So I don't think you need to commit to just losing and sucking as much as possible, because whenever you do that, losing becomes the expectation. You become okay with losing, and I don't want Cooper Flagg to ever be okay with losing.
Ron, this is a team, of course, who does not have control of their draft pick from the years 2027 through 2030. Next year is the last year for the next 5 that they have control over their first-round pick of the 2026 NBA draft, which is a very deep one and a very good one. So, given where they are you willing to continue to keep it together or start to bottom out?
Yeah, I know a lot of Mavs fans are on the team tank train, but today I would like to play devil's advocate on team keep it together.
Okay.
One, the Washington Wizards and the Utah Jazz, who had the 2 worst records last year, did not get the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick or the number 3 pick or the number 4 pick. So just because you actually do have the worst record does not mean you will get it. And the year before that, guess who had the number 1 pick? The Atlanta Hawks, who had a solid record. I think they were like the 8th or 9th worst record. So you don't have to quote unquote tank to even get the number 1 pick. It's not a requirement, and we've seen with the new draft odds, it's not necessary. And for team keep it, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, we've really never seen them really play basketball together on the same court. I'd like to just see it a little bit just to see what can happen. What are they going to be able to do together? I'm not saying that I'm extremely high or that can win a title or anything, but I am saying it would be nice to at least see them attempt to play basketball together. Think about how fun that would be, KG. You could have Kyrie Irving at your point guard. You could have Max Christie as your shooting guard. Cooper Flagg at your small forward. Your power forward, hopefully PJ Washington. And then at your 5, Anthony Davis. That's a really, really good starting 5. I don't know if that can beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, but that team can compete in the Western Conference, and sadly, we haven't seen it, and we may never see that lineup healthy, but it would be really fun. So, and I'm pretty sure some Mavs people are thinking, hey, if we can get that lineup on the court, some things can happen. And then even if you, quote unquote, don't trade the people this year, if that lineup looks good and maybe you just miss the playoffs like last year, the summer could be really fun for this team.
Well, that's where I think that's the core of the argument. I do not believe that if fully healthy, the Mavs can beat the Thunder. I don't think that any team in the NBA can beat the Thunder. They're missing Jalen Williams that still went 19-1 or whatever.
It's very loud.
Shea didn't play last night. They won by 40. They are beating everyone's ass. So it's like, if you're not going to beat them anyway, then I understand why fans would say, well, then just be as bad as possible, because after this upcoming draft, you don't have your picks. Like, this is your team. You don't have control of a single first-round pick for another 5 years after this one. Ooh. So I get if you're not winning the title, which is the point of this whole deal, right? The whole point of playing basketball is to win. If you don't think that you can win, then why not try and increase your chances of winning next year and the year beyond and the year beyond and 10 years from now? And that's why I think that ultimately ending up with a better draft pick than not is the best way to go. But you have such little control over where you end up in the lottery anyway. It's just like, man, whatever. But what I also think that I don't really want the Mavs to finish like 8th or 9th. Like, I'd rather them finish like 12th or 13th if they're – I don't want to play OKC, dude. It's going to be bad.
Because now you're getting to the core of my argument when it comes to this particular situation, because here's what it feels like the Mavericks are dangerously getting close to. what do we always laugh about over the last 4 or 5 years in the Eastern Conference?
The Chicago Bulls.
The Chicago Bulls. Like, either you decide to go for it, which Chicago has never done.
Good guy.
And they continue to find themselves in either 9th or 10th with a record of 39-43 for the last, 4 or 5 years.
But we don't have Zach LaVine on our team. Sorry.
You don't, but you do have a potential generational talent in Cooper Flagg. Do you want to live in a world where right now you're a second apron team with expensive older veterans who at times can't stay healthy, and you see a bright future with an 18-year-old where if you decide that, hey, with the 26 draft class that you have, we can get a cheap, young, talented player that can go along with help us building the future, do you decide to do that? Because I would not want to be in a position where I'm, the mediocrity, spinning the hamster wheel of mediocrity for the next 4 or 5 years. Because, I mean, you're right. The Oklahoma City Thunder are about to run the West, granted they stay healthy, for the next 4 or 5 years. You still got to go through teams like Luka with the Lakers, Anthony Edwards with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Nikola Jokic in the Denver Nuggets. If you're not competing at the very top of the Western Conference, you might need to find a way to get as close to it as you can in the future rather than trying to eke out a play-in spot. So this team is too good to purposely tank. If they decide to do so, it will be an organizational decision to do it because of what is in front of them and the lack of control that they will have after 2026 that could make this decision a little bit easier. But I do not want to live in a world where the Mavericks are steadily competing for 8th and 9th spots to get their ass kicked by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Granted, they stay healthy for the next 4 or 5 years. I don't want to live in that world.
Quick trip in a time machine back to 2018-19. That was Luka's rookie year. It was very obvious by around this time of that season that this guy was going to be pretty special. Now, over the course of the next few months, it became even more obvious, but something else happened during that time. They traded 2 future first-round picks, one of which was unprotected, and Dennis Smith Jr., and some expiring contracts for KP, for Tim Hardaway Jr., for Trey Burke, for Courtney Lee. And, Bob Voulgaris has gone back, has since said, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. But the Mavs essentially made an all-in move during Luka's rookie year. And, I thought at the time, man, this could work out great. You got a young guy on the way up. You got another young guy on the way up. They could be good for 10 years. Well, they weren't, and 2 years after making his debut with the team, KP was on his way out of town for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. And now the Mavs still ended up going to the conference finals that year, and they made a finals run later with entirely different teams than the one they had whenever they made the all-in move. But they were really hard-pressed to make any other moves to get good players because all of their picks were tied up in that trade because they were already over the cap. And what you don't want to do is end up with a 21-year-old Coop, and you're like, man, everyone around here has gray hair except for this 21-year-old. What is the team going to look like in 2 or 3 years? You don't want to constantly have to reinvent. You want to have some sort of foundation, and maybe Ryan Nembhard is part of that. Maybe Max Christie is part of that. Hopefully Derek Lively is part of that.
Hopefully PJ-Washington remains a part of that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of question marks with all of those guys. Yeah. Some due to health, some due to, are they legit or not? How much better can they get? And what you don't want to be doing is answering those questions whenever you're in the second apron and you can't make any moves. Well, you can only sign guys to minimums, and you're waiting for a 35-year-old to get off a max contract. It's really, really tough. The economics are almost as important as the on-court product when having this conversation. But, yeah, I mean, I want as many good players as possible, and I think that losing 5 or 6 more games than maybe you want to this year could be a really, really, really good way to get a stud in the building. It could also all be for naught. They could have the 14th pick and draft a bust. Who knows?
And I'm not implying that Cooper is not going to pan out. And what I'm thinking is that you look at the landscape of the West over the next immediate 3-4 years. Oklahoma City, if healthy, is going to remain at the top of the West. Nikola Jokic still has another 3-4 years in his prime if he continues to remain healthy. Oh, that young dude who's in Los Angeles who just turned 26, is going to be 26 years old in February. You got to go through him and his Lakers team over the next 5, 6, 7 years. Anthony Edwards is only 23 years old. You've got a lot of teams that are really, really good, that have established superstars now that are in better positions to compete. So your ability to get to the top of the West in the next 3 or 4 years is going to be very, very difficult if you don't find a way to get younger, get cheaper, and find a way to get yourself another player alongside Cooper Flagg. I think Cooper Flagg is going to be a sensational player and going to be do so for a long time. How quickly can the Mavericks build a contender around him to compete with those teams over the next 4 or 5 years is going to be a very difficult question for them to answer. And oh, by the way, they still don't have a GM yet to figure out what the ultimate vision is going to look like for this team. So that all has to get settled before you ultimately, I think, make a decision on what the future looks like. But yeah, the West is going to be hella hard for the next 4 or 5 years.
Forever.
If all these teams, in front of them stay healthy. And right now, it's tough, man.
The future comes quick because this summer, the Mavs will have to figure out what to do with Ryan Nembhard, who will be an restricted free agent.
He'll probably be. He could be signed
unless they make a move, but they have to have the foresight to make the move to give him a contract before that. But he could be a restricted free agent. Derek Lively, extension eligible. You got to figure that out. Anthony Davis, extension eligible. You got to figure that out. Klay Thompson will be an expiring contract. Brandon Williams, unrestricted free agent. You got to figure that out. Najee Marshall will be going into the final year of his contract, which is looking like a complete steal, but you'll have to figure out what to do with him. Max Christie, same thing. Like a lot of the guys on this team that are playing well right now
can get paid.
They could either be gone or you're going to have to pay them a lot, and the Mavs are already in the second apron next season. That's before giving out any of these extensions. That is a dangerous place to be. So it's a real quagmire that they're in right now.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say, though, is that in most drafts, if everyone let's just go look at the last drafts, look at the top 3 picks in all those drafts. The top 3 players are usually never just the top 3 picks. Like, you have to draft Jalen Williams for the Oklahoma City Thunder is a number 2. They drafted him, I think, pick 12. Like, players like Johnny Davis were drafted over him at pick 10 by the Washington Wizards, sadly. So what I'm saying is that you don't have to get in the top 3 to get the second or third best player in a draft. Actually, more than likely, that's not what's going to happen. The Wemby draft, it was a big thing. Man, Wemby or Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson is really good. Why does Scoot Henderson look now? He was the number 3 pick in that draft. Brandon Miller, good player. Is he better than Amin Thompson, who was the 4th pick in that draft? Probably not. You do not need a top 3 pick to get even the second or third best player. And to be fair, in most drafts, the second pick is probably, in the history of the NBA, is shown not the second best player in that draft. There's a good player in Arizona. There's a real good player down there in Houston. His name Kingston Fleming. He's a good point guard. There's a lot of good players that aren't going to be, quote-unquote, the top 3 guys. A good player at UNC. We'll have some guys to talk about at the end of the season. That's all I'm saying is you don't need a top 3 pick to get your number 2 guy.
You don't need one.
I don't want people to freak out if the Mavs somehow don't get a top 3 pick. You don't need that. The OKC Thunder did not always have that. I don't think they didn't hit the number 1 pick after the Paul George trade. They never got the number 1 pick. I don't think they hit the number 2 pick. Like Josh Giddey was like the 5th.
Chet was number 2, I think.
So Chet was number 2.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to get the number 1 pick, quote unquote, to even rebuild around that. A lot of the players around the edges, the Aaron Wiggins and AJ Mitchell, who I saw the other week, these are not top picks. You have to just hit kind of where you're at. Now, we don't know who the Mavs GM is. So we don't know their acumen for scouting players, but
well, we do know they don't have any firsts or seconds after this year until 2030. They have a second in 2030, and then they have a first in 2031. So it's like, this is it. This is the draft. The higher you pick, the higher your chances are of getting an All-NBA and All-Star caliber player, obviously. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, there have been plenty of busts over the years, and the Mavs can't afford to bust. They cannot swing and miss.
They can't miss.
Yeah,
whatever they do,
they cannot miss.
Yeah, it's got to be a player at least that plays.
Yeah.
Just give me a rotation player. But if you want Coop to have a running mate, then there's a few guys in this draft that I think would qualify for that.
Whether you're on Team Tank or Team Keep It Together, the Mavericks got several decisions that they got to make over the next few months to decide what the future is going to look like around Cooper Flagg going forward. Let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, let's take a look around the association, look at some of the biggest surprises, disappointments, and the best storylines of the first 25 games of the season. All that and more coming up next. But first, we want you to be part of our DLLS Sports family. The easiest way that you can do that is to become a diehard by scanning the QR code that you see on your screen right now, or go to alldlls.com/diehard to become a diehard member today. When you do, you get 20% off our events, access to our member-only Discord. You get a free t-shirt upon sign-up as well, and you get access to all of our premium content on alldlls.com, including from Rod Harrod Jr. covering your Dallas Mavericks, Clarence Ehill Jr. and Ali Jawad covering your Dallas Mavericks, Sam Nessler and Sean Shapiro covering the best damn team in the National Hockey League in your Dallas Stars, and Jeff Wilson covering your Texas Rangers. It is hot stove season. The winter meetings are going to be underway here very, very soon.
He's out there right now.
That's right. So there you go. What will the Rangers do during hot stove season? Jeff Wilson going to be all over it when it comes to covering your Texas Rangers. Also, we've got incredible merchandise available for you right now. If you're looking for the perfect holiday gift,
We got hats.
That's right, for the favorite sports fan of
Look at
your
that
life.
white one.
If you go to store.allcitynetwork.com, you can check out our All City headwear and our brand new styles.
Yeah,
with,
that off-white one is nice.
with
Is that white or cream?
It says beige on the website.
Interesting.
Dang, I wish it was the cream.
There
Oh,
you go.
okay.
But
Looks
our
beige.
branded
Looks white,
Bills
sorry. Cream.
DLLS
God.
mashup collection that we have right now is available on store.allcitynetwork.com. Again, our All City headwear. We got brand new styles out right now. So if you're looking for the perfect gift for the DFW sports fan in your life, again, store.allcitynetwork.com. Check out all of our incredible merchandise, including our brand new hats as well. And once you finish doing all of that, you can sign up for our free newsletter that hits your inbox about 8:30, 9 a.m. every single day as we look at DFW sports through the lens of us here at DLLS, through our guy Alan Jawad, who curates that for you every single day. So we appreciate all the support that you provide us here at DLLS Sports. Let's finish up here on our program today. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. and look at some reasons why AD at the 5 has been very good and why he should stay there. We'll talk about that in a little bit more tomorrow.
Stay there.
As well.
Don't
And
move.
stay there. Shout
Wow.
out to our guy Chris Arnold. Yeah, loves the guy.
The 3-time Hall of Famer, right?
3-time Hall of
Yeah.
Famer. That's right, damn it. 3 Hall of Fames for Chris Arnold. Let's look at the biggest storylines, surprises, and disappointments in and around the association. We are at just now past the quarter pole of the season. The unofficial start of the NBA season coming up here in a couple of weeks with Christmas Day. Your Dallas Mavericks going to be playing on Christmas Day in San Francisco, California, Klay Thompson, when the Mavericks visit Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors, who somehow beat the Cleveland Cavaliers the other day with no Steph, no Draymond, and beat up on the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is where I'll start, as one of the bigger disappointments in the league so far.
Oh, the biggest.
The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Dang,
it's
haven't changed
been
that.
struggle bus.
Coming into the year, it's like, this is the easiest conference of all time. Cleveland, there's no chance they're not going to win like 69 games at least.
And I picked them to go to the finals.
Yeah, and they're gonna walk backwards to the finals.
And so far, it has not been good for them. I mean, you start to look at the Eastern Conference standings. I mean, give credit to a team, for example, like in the Boston Celtics. They've won 8 of their last 10. They've won 5 straight games, 15-9 now in the East. And they're third in the Eastern Conference right now through their first 24 games of the season. But yeah, Cleveland, major disappointment for them because I think a lot of us thought, including our guy Tim Cato, that this could be the best team in what is a wide open Eastern Conference. But give credit to the Detroit Pistons, who have been beating the heck out of everybody so far this year, who have risen to the top of the Eastern Conference. But yeah, I would say my biggest
And the Celtics are third?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
When the hell did that happen?
so offense, they've been great
The
over the
Celtics,
last
man.
10 games offensively. Jordan Walsh has been really good for them.
I love Jordan
The ball
Walsh in that
mamba.
draft.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
my
been unbelievable
God,
for
dude.
them. Jaylen Brown's playing at an all-NBA level right
Dope,
now.
man.
Even without, obviously, Jason Tatum, who has been missing due to the Achilles injury. But yeah, Boston has been really, really good.
Yeah, that
as of
2023
late.
Without
there was-
Tatum.
There was all those rumors the Mavs were going to trade down in 2023. Like they had the 10th pick, trade like for 12 and 20 or 14 and 26 or whatever. It's like, dude, please do that and get Jordan Walsh. Please do that and get Jordan
What
Walsh.
college did Walsh play for again?
Arkansas. I
Arkansas.
believe.
Went to Arkansas. By the way, the Cavs 8th in the East at 14 and 11
It's horrible.
in the East right now. Yeah, but the Pistons 19-5 through their first 24 games. They've been spectacular. The Knicks, who we thought could be at the top of the East, they're 16-7 through their first 23. Chicago, we talked about them a little earlier. The bottom has just bottomed out for them. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Since you said Cleveland is your disappointment,
mhm.
I'm going to go with my number 2 choice, the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean,
oh my God,
the
they're making
season
me look so
started
dumb.
with the scandal, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe they'll win games. People like the over-under, I think, for the Los Angeles Clippers was like 48 games. I think it was 48 and a half. People were taking the over. Like, that wasn't like everyone was betting the under. People thought the Clippers would be good. The thing was, oh, man, the Clippers got all this depth on the team. They got Brook Lopez. They got Chris Paul off the bench. They got Bradley Beal for $7 million. Every contract is age bad. They lost Norman Powell. They thought they replaced Norman Powell with quote-unquote depth. Norman Powell's looked good in Miami, while all the players they signed have looked horrible. Bradley Beal's now out for the season. Brook Lopez, cannot move. Chris Paul is,
doesn't even play for them anymore.
That situation is ugly, which, again, it's also why their disappointment is because possibly, I would say he's the greatest player in their franchise's history. And the way he's been treated is crazy. I know Chris Paul's a tough player. I've heard for coaches and stuff like that. But, this is the greatest player in franchise history, and you're basically telling the guy to kick rocks. He's the reason why people are – Lopsy is the reason why there are new Clippers fans. And you're basically like, hey, the guy who jersey will be retired here isn't even good enough to, be the bench coach, basically like a glorified bench coach. He can't even show up to games.
And now they're at the epicenter of one of the most interesting stories in the NBA, which is the Thunder own their pick in the 2026 NBA draft.
That's why
I'm triggered.
Perfect example of why all-in trades are, had they won a title in 2020, maybe they would say, you know what, it doesn't matter, it's worth it.
Yeah.
But you better win a championship if you're going to make a trade like they did to get Paul George.
They didn't even get to the finals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
no finals appearances.
The more losses they continue to pile up, the better the Thunder pick is going to be in the 26 NBA draft. Who makes your list is most disappointing or most surprising so far for you?
Cleveland for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Clippers are really disappointing.
One of those two.
I think I picked them fourth, and then after Van Vliet got hurt, I said the Clippers will probably finish third. There's still time. All right, I'm holding out hope. Right now, they're only 11 and a half games out of third, so they can get there. They need to win 20 or 30 in a row, and they're going to be there. I think between Cleveland and LA, I mean, I don't really think any other team has even been all that disappointing.
It's those two are, to me, by far.
Everything's kind of going out the way it should.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been pleasant, Phoenix is playing really well.
Yeah.
And that's been cool to see. Memphis has been a little better than I thought they would, despite how bad Jaw's been. So there's been some pleasant surprises, but for the most part, things are kind of playing out the way we thought.
I will say one of the more interesting things about, especially the last maybe 10, 12 games, the fact that the San Antonio Spurs have been kind of able to maintain things.
Oh, without Wemby,
without Victor Wembanyama. And now they're on the verge of getting him back. In fact, he might be available to play when the Lakers play the Spurs in the NBA Cup knockout stages, which is later on Wednesday. And they're also potentially getting back. Stephon Castle's been out with injury as of late as well. So the fact that they're still 15-7, fifth in the West, and have been able to do that work recently without Victor Wembanyama, that's kind of frightening to think about, because once he gets back, obviously the Spurs will continue to play well. But I mean, right now, Mitch Johnson is an early coach of the year candidate for me, the head coach in San Antonio, because
I'll add the way that Chicago's played. I mean, they were not going to go 82-0, but their losing streak, they've lost to the Pelicans, Hornets, Pacers, Nets, Pacers again.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting worked by a lot of these teams. Have some shame, dude. What the heck?
Yeah.
Figure it out, man. That GM is just AK has a really long leash for a guy that's made a lot of horrible
maybe Anthony Davis can fix it for him though, Bobby.
I think he can. They're an 80 away, I think.
Wow.
They're an 80 away.
Then they'll get back into the AFC. This is what they want to do, right?
Awesome.
They sell tickets.
They'll go from 9th to 8th.
Man.
That's what they need.
I just see the Pelicans in the comment. I definitely forgot that. I remember the Pels came to the American Airlines Center early in the season, and I was listening to the Pelicans reporters ask Willie Green questions. I knew he was getting canned because they were like, "Yeah, why aren't they saying your name in the intros anymore?" And he was like,
"Oh my God!"
I was like, I felt like it was like you were watching like a cheating scandal, and you were like, "Oh, should I be seeing this?" Because it felt crazy being there. So.
Not you on the way out the door, and you can't even get introed in the pregame.
I mean, it was getting ugly. It was getting ugly, bro. So yes, the Pelicans too. I mean, the Pelicans have so many players I think are good players, but they just don't win games. It's
good players don't make a good team, man. That is,
yeah.
I mean, that's
not real.
kind of the story of the Mavs season too. You got to have players in their correct
Yeah, that's
correctly,
true. Like Queen, like Zion, like Fear. I guess like Murphy, like Herb Jones. A lot of players are hurt.
I wonder if the Clippers and the Pelicans eventually say, you know, we're just going to blow the entire thing up. I mean, especially in the Clippers case because they don't
have their picks. They can't blow it up.
Yeah, there's no point. There's no point.
They're old. They're an old and expensive roster.
It doesn't matter. Blowing it up doesn't do
anything. Like OKC is not
unless you get your picks back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe you can find a way to.
They're like, hey, OKC, you want Kawhi? OKC's like, nah, we're good. Hard pass. Sorry, bro.
I bet you Kawhi would get instantly healthy if he landed on the Thunder. I bet. That'll do it for us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Thank you to our guy Tanner, making us look good and sound good as always. Thank you, sir. We'll be back tomorrow here at 12 p.m. as the Mavericks continue their preparations to get ready to play the Brooklyn Nets on Friday. That is our DLLS Mavs analyst Bobby Curla. That is our DLLS Mavs beat writer Ron Harrod Jr. I'm your host Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all enjoy your Monday. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.